My beloved child. Wait. Before you move to the next thing. Before the next notification pulls your eyes away. Before the next worry reminds you of everything that still feels unfinished. Before the noise of this day reaches for you again. Wait here. Just for this moment. Just for right now. I know you almost kept scrolling. I know your finger was ready to move past this. Something in you hesitated. Something quiet and deep said, "Not yet. Stay a little longer." That was not your imagination. That was not coincidence. That small pull you felt, that gentle resistance before you moved on, that was me. Reaching through the noise. Reaching through the crowded hours of your day. Reaching specifically for you. This moment is not an accident. You did not arrive here by random chance, stumbling across words that happened to be nearby. I have been drawing your attention back toward me with the patience of someone who knows exactly how long the journey has been and exactly how tired you have become. I know the morning you had. I know the week behind you. I know the weight that sits on your chest when you wake up before you even have words for it yet. I know. And I am not in a hurry to rush past what you are carrying. My dear one, the world moves fast. It measures you by your output. It grades you by your productivity. It notices you when you are performing and forgets you when you are quietly struggling. The world is loud with expectations and short on patience for the parts of you that are still healing, still waiting, still trying to understand what happened in seasons that left marks you have not shown anyone. But I am not the world. I am not here to evaluate your performance today. I am not keeping a record of how many times you got it right this week and how many times the weight was too heavy and you stumbled. I am not standing at a distance with a clipboard. I am close. Closer than the breath in your lungs right now. Closer than the heartbeat you do not have to remember to keep beating. I am here. And I am speaking to you. Not to a crowd. Not to a category of people who meet certain spiritual requirements. I am speaking to you. The specific you. The one sitting or lying or standing exactly where you are right now. The one with the thoughts you have not spoken out loud. The one with the question you have been afraid to bring to me because some part of you worried the answer might be silence. I am speaking to that one. To you. Take a breath now. Not a rushed breath. A slow one. Let your chest rise and fall with it. Let your shoulders come down just a little. You have been holding tension in places you did not even realize. Your body has been bracing. Your mind has been running. Your spirit has been trying to keep up with everything that has been demanding pieces of you. You can stop bracing for just this moment. Nothing will fall apart if you give me the next few minutes with your full attention. Nothing urgent will collapse if you let yourself be still. I am asking you to trust that the problems you are carrying will still be there after we have spoken, and when you return to them, you will carry them differently, because you will carry them with me. My beloved child, do you know how long I have wanted to have your full attention without the noise competing? I speak to you in the morning when the first light comes through, and worry speaks louder. I speak to you in the middle of the day when something beautiful passes by and reminds you that life still holds goodness, and then the next task swallows the moment. I speak to you at night when everything is quiet and your heart is honest, and sometimes you hear me then. Sometimes in the darkness before sleep, you feel something you cannot name, a warmth, a presence, a knowing that you are not as alone as the day made you feel. That is me. I have never stopped speaking to you. My voice has not grown tired of calling your name. My love has not faded because the seasons have been long or because you have not always known how to answer. I am not a voice that gives up when the response is slow. I am the voice that was speaking before you existed and will be speaking when everything else has gone quiet. And right now, in this moment, I am speaking about you. To you. For you. I chose this moment. I chose these words to find you at this point in your day, in your week, in this specific chapter of your life. Because this chapter matters to me. The chapter you are in right now, even if it is painful, even if it is confusing, even if you have been waiting for it to end for longer than feels fair. This chapter is not wasted in my hands. But first I need you here. Fully here. Not half here with one eye on what comes next. Not here with the armor still fully on, waiting for something to prove you should not have paused. Here. Open. Still. You who have been strong for everyone around you. You who have held things together when things were falling apart. You who have smiled in rooms where you were hurting and answered fine when you were not fine and kept moving because stopping felt like failure. You, sitting there right now with more going on beneath the surface than most people around you have taken the time to see. I see it. I see all of it. And I am not overwhelmed by it. I am not disappointed by it. I am not standing here waiting for you to clean it up before I come closer. I am already close. I was close before you paused. I will be close after. But in this moment, I am asking you to feel it. To let the awareness of my nearness be more than a concept you agree with mentally. Let it be something your heart actually receives. Breathe again. Slowly. This is a sanctuary right now. Not a building. Not a ceremony. Just this. Your heart and my voice and a few minutes of honest stillness. You are allowed to need this. You are allowed to stop and be held for a moment before the day asks more from you. You are allowed to receive without immediately performing. You are allowed to come with nothing prepared, nothing polished, nothing impressive. Bring me exactly what you are right now. Tired is allowed here. Confused is allowed here. Hopeful and uncertain at the same time is allowed here. Angry and still loving me is allowed here. Disappointed and not ready to say everything is fine is allowed here. All of you is allowed here. My dear one, I have something to say to you today that your soul has needed to hear for longer than you might realize. Not correction. Not a list of things to do better. Not pressure dressed up as encouragement. I have truth to speak over the places that have been living under lies. I have light to bring into the corners where fear has been speaking too long in the dark. But first I need you to stay. So stay. Let the rush slow down. Let the urgency take a breath. Let the part of you that is always managing, always monitoring, always preparing for the next thing, let it rest for just these moments. You are safe here. I am not going to rush through this. I am not going to give you a quick word and send you back into the noise unchanged. I want to sit with you. I want to speak slowly enough that the words actually land in the places they are meant to reach. Because there are places in you, my beloved child, that have not been reached in a long time. Places that have gotten quieter over the years. Places that used to hope loudly and have learned to hope quietly, or sometimes to stop hoping it loud so no one would see the disappointment when the answer was slow. I am going to those places today. Are you ready? Breathe one more time. Close your eyes for a moment if you are able. Not to escape. To arrive. To be fully present in this space where I am waiting. I love you. Those 3 words are not small. They are not filler between the important parts. They are the foundation of everything I am about to say. Every word that follows is rooted in those 3 words. I love you. Now stay with me. Let us begin. My beloved child, I want to speak now about something you rarely let anyone speak about. Your tiredness. Not the tiredness that comes from a hard day's work and is fixed by a good night of sleep. I am speaking about the other kind. The tiredness that is still there when you wake up. The tiredness that sits underneath the morning routine and the conversations and the responsibilities you carry well even when carrying them costs more than anyone around you knows. I see that tiredness. I know how long it has been your companion. I know the specific weight of it because I have watched you carry it. I know the days you woke up and the first thought was already heavy before your feet touched the floor. I know the moments you had to give yourself a small quiet talk before walking into a room so you could arrange your face into something that would not worry the people who depend on you. You have become skilled at that arrangement. Smiling while hurting. That is something you have practiced without meaning to. Not because you are dishonest. Because you are caring. Because you did not want to add your pain to someone else's burden. Because somewhere you learned that the people around you could not always hold what you were actually carrying, and so you learned to carry it in a way that was invisible. I saw that invisible carrying. Every time you laughed at something and underneath the laugh there was a sorrow that had not been addressed yet. Every time you encouraged someone else through a difficulty that was smaller than the one you were quietly living inside. Every time you said the right thing in the right moment for someone else while the thing you needed to hear for yourself went unspoken. Do you remember the nights? Not all of them require a dramatic story. Some nights it was simply the quiet. The house settling. The sound of the world outside going on, and you lying there with eyes open or eyes closed and a heart that would not stop going over the same things. The same worries. The same questions. The same replay of conversations or moments or decisions that could not be undone. Do you remember praying on those nights? Not always with full sentences. Sometimes it was just a feeling. A reaching. A wordless cry that did not know how to form itself into anything that could be spoken but went upward anyway because there was nowhere else for it to go. My child, I received every one of those prayers. Not one of them disappeared. Not one of them arrived and found me absent or inattentive or occupied with something more important. There is nothing more important to me than you. Not a single night when you reached toward heaven in your exhaustion went unnoticed by the one who never sleeps, who never looks away, who counts the tears you cried quietly so no one would hear. I counted them. I want to speak now about the people. Some of your pain did not come from circumstances. It came from people. People you trusted with tender parts of yourself and who handled those parts carelessly. People who said they would stay and then found reasons to leave. People who saw your struggle and offered advice when what you needed was presence. People who misread your silence as coldness when it was actually protection. People who saw your strength and assumed therefore that you did not need gentleness. You needed gentleness. You still do. And I am not going to skip past that by jumping immediately to the silver lining. Sometimes the most healing thing is simply to be told, yes, that was real. Yes, that hurt you. Yes, you were not wrong to feel what you felt. Yes, something was taken from you that should not have been taken. So let me say it clearly. What you went through was real. The disappointment was real. The feeling of being misunderstood was real. The moments when you looked around for someone to see what was happening inside you and found that everyone was looking at the surface, those moments were real, and they left marks, and it is not weakness to acknowledge that. My beloved child, you have been told in some way, either by life or by people or by a version of faith that was more demanding than it was comforting, that you should be past certain things by now. That the fact that something still hurts is evidence of insufficient faith or insufficient gratitude or insufficient healing. And so you have sometimes added shame to the pain. Feeling bad for still feeling the original hurt. Carrying the wound and then carrying judgment about the wound on top of it. Put that second weight down. Pain does not have an expiration date that, if you cross it, means you have failed at healing. Healing is not a performance. Grief does not follow a schedule. And the fact that something still touches a tender place inside you is not evidence of your failure. It is evidence of your humanity, which I made, and which I do not despise. I want to speak to the prayers that felt unanswered. I know that particular pain. The specific ache of bringing something before me with sincerity, with faith, with real vulnerability, and then watching time pass without the answer arriving in the form you asked for. Some of you have been in that waiting for months. Some for years. Some have carried a specific prayer so long that you have learned not to speak it out loud anymore because the speaking had become painful. You still thought it, though. Late at night. In the middle of the day when something reminded you. On the edge of sleep when your guard was down. That prayer was still there, still alive in you, still hoping even when hope felt embarrassing. I want you to know something. The fact that the prayer is still alive in you, even after the waiting, even after the questions, even after the moments of doubt that you may have been ashamed of, the fact that it is still there says something about you that I find remarkable. You have not let go. Even when letting go might have protected you from more disappointment. Even when cynicism was available and would have made things easier. Even when the people around you moved on and you quietly kept that prayer alive in the private rooms of your heart. That is a kind of faith that does not shout. It endures. And I see it. My dear one, I also want to speak to the exhaustion of being the strong one. Because for some of you, that has been the role so long you no longer remember clearly what it felt like to be held instead of holding. To receive comfort instead of giving it. To say, I am not okay, and have someone actually stop and stay long enough to hear what that means. You have been strong. You have been responsible. You have shown up. You have made decisions under pressure and kept things moving when things could have collapsed and protected people you love from the full weight of what you were carrying on their behalf. That is not nothing. That is remarkable. But I also know the cost of it. The cost is the quiet hollow feeling that sometimes comes after you have poured out and there is no one nearby to pour back in. The cost is the loneliness that exists not because you are alone in the room but because no one in the room is seeing the parts of you that most need to be seen. The cost is the slow erosion of believing that your own needs matter, your own rest matters, your own healing matters. They matter. You matter. Not just as a function. Not just as the person who keeps things together. You matter as a soul. As a person. As my child whose interior life is as important to me as anything you produce or provide or accomplish. Your pain is not a problem to be solved quickly so you can return to productivity. It is something I want to sit with you inside of. It is something I want to touch with my hands. It is something I want to heal with the kind of patience that does not rush you toward being okay before you actually are. Take a breath now. Let yourself be known in this moment. You do not have to perform healing for me. You do not have to report that you are better or stronger or further along. You can be exactly where you are and still be fully held by me. I see your hidden pain. All of it. And I am not going to look away. I am not going to tell you to put it aside and focus on gratitude. I am going to stay here with you inside it and remind you that pain does not have the final word over your life. That what has hurt you does not get to become the sentence that defines you. That the weight you have been carrying has been noticed by someone who has the power to take it, and who wants to, and who will. But you had to know that I see it first. You had to know before we go anywhere else that you are not invisible to me. That the hidden places where you have been hurting alone are not actually alone. That the prayers you whispered in the dark were not whispered into emptiness. They reached me. Every single one. And I have not forgotten a single thing you have asked of me, not a single night you reached toward me, not a single tear you cried thinking no one important enough was watching. I was watching. I am watching now. And I love what I see, even the parts that hurt, even the parts that are still healing, even the parts that do not yet know how to receive what I am offering. I love all of you. My beloved child, now that you know I see your pain, I want to speak to the question that lives just beneath it. Why? Why has it taken so long? Why did the answer not come when you first asked? Why did the door stay closed when you knocked with sincerity? Why did the season of waiting extend past what felt reasonable, past what your strength was designed to hold, past the point where you could explain it to yourself or to the people watching your life? I want to answer that question. Not with a dismissal. Not with spiritual language that sounds deep but does not actually touch the ache. I want to answer it in a way that reaches the real place where the question lives. But first, I need you to consider something about how you see time. You measure time by what is visible. By what has moved and what has not moved. By what has changed on the surface and what looks exactly as it did the last time you checked. From your position, waiting can look like stillness. Delay can look like absence. Silence can feel like the evidence that nothing is happening. But I do not work only in what you can see. In fact, some of my deepest, most significant work begins in places your eyes cannot reach. And I want to show you 3 things from the world I made that carry this truth in a way that your heart can hold. Think about a seed. Not a seed already planted in good soil with water and light. I mean a seed at the moment just before it is planted. Sitting in someone's hand. Small. Dry. Unremarkable to anyone watching. If you did not know what a seed was, you might think it was nothing. A small hard thing. No movement. No obvious life. Nothing that announces what it is capable of becoming. And then it goes into the ground. And here is what no one sees. Underground, in the dark, in the hidden place where no eye can reach, the seed begins to change. The outer shell, the hard protective layer that kept it safe during the waiting, begins to break open. And from that breaking, from that surrender of the shell it had been carrying, new life begins to push upward. The breaking is not failure. The breaking is the beginning. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life that felt like breaking. Seasons where things you had built or things you had hoped for or things you had counted on did not hold the way you expected. And it hurt like breaking hurts. And you wondered if the breaking was punishment or abandonment or evidence that something was fundamentally wrong. But what if the breaking was the seed? What if the very thing that felt like loss was actually the beginning of something I am growing in you that cannot grow while the outer shell stays intact? What if the discomfort of this season is not evidence that I am absent but evidence that I am working in places you cannot see, doing something that requires the dark and the quiet and the waiting to become what it is meant to become? The seed does not rush. The seed does not decide underground that the process is taking too long and try to force itself upward before it is ready. The seed surrenders to the process. And when the moment is right, when everything beneath the surface has done what it needed to do, the sprout appears. And it is stronger for having been formed slowly in the dark. I am forming something in you. Now consider a river. Not a river in its full expression, wide and moving and obvious in its direction. I mean a river at its earliest point, deep inside a mountain, where water is gathering drop by drop in places no one visits. That water is not lazy because it has not yet appeared as a river. That water is not failing because it has not yet reached the valley. That water is doing exactly what it is supposed to do in the stage it is currently in. And as it gathers, it begins to find its way. It does not ask the mountain for permission. It does not argue with the stone that blocks its path. It simply keeps moving, patient and persistent, finding the smallest openings, working through what looks like solid resistance, wearing paths through what appeared to be immovable, and in time, what began as a few drops in a hidden place becomes something that can sustain life for everything along its banks. My dear one, your life may feel like that water inside the mountain right now. You may feel like you are gathering in a hidden place. Like your movement is slow and unimpressive compared to what you see around you. Like the obstacles in front of you are solid and immovable and the path forward is not visible. But the water does not stop moving because the path is not yet clear. The water trusts the pull. The water trusts the direction given by gravity and the shape of the mountain and the patient wisdom of the process. And in time, the water reaches the valley and becomes something unmistakably alive and sustaining and beautiful. You will reach your valley. The obstacles that look immovable are already being worked on. Not dramatically. Not with noise. But consistently. With the quiet patience of water that does not fight the mountain but simply keeps moving in the direction it was made to go. Now consider the dawn. Think about the hour before the sun rises. Everything is dark. Not the comfortable dark of a room you know, but the particular darkness of the last hour before morning. The darkest part of the night, some say, is the part just before dawn. The moment when the darkness seems most complete is often the moment that is closest to the light. You do not see the sun coming. It does not announce itself with a warning. The sky does not ask the darkness for permission. One moment, everything is dark. And then, slowly at first, so slowly you might almost miss it, the edge of the horizon begins to change. A thin line of color where there was no color before. A softening of the dark. A suggestion of warmth before the warmth actually arrives. And then the light comes. Not as a question. As a certainty. My beloved child, you may be in the last hour before your dawn. The darkness you are experiencing right now may not be evidence that the light is far away. It may be evidence that the light is closer than it has ever been. That the horizon is about to change in a way you will not be able to miss. That the very intensity of the dark you are experiencing is the intensity of a night that is almost finished. Stay awake for the dawn. Do not give up in the last hour. Now let me tell you about what is happening in the unseen. While you have been waiting, I have been working. I need you to understand what working looks like from my side. It does not always look like open doors and visible miracles. Sometimes it looks like a conversation I arranged that you did not know I arranged. A person I moved into position whose importance you will not understand until later. A protection I provided that you will never have language for because the thing I protected you from never arrived, and you will not know how close it came. There are things you have been spared from that you never knew to be grateful for. There are redirections I gave you that felt like rejection in the moment but were mercy in disguise. There are doors that stayed closed because what was behind them would have taken you somewhere you did not need to go. There are relationships that did not work out because I was protecting the space for something healthier. There are delays that felt like punishment that were actually protection. Do not measure my love only by what you received. Also measure it by what I did not let reach you. I have angels working on your behalf right now. Not as a metaphor. As a reality. There are forces moving in the unseen that are arranging what needs to be arranged, clearing what needs to be cleared, and holding open the things that need to remain available when the right moment arrives. You cannot see this work. But the absence of visible evidence is not the same as the absence of activity. A surgeon working inside a body is not visible to the person on the table. That invisibility does not mean nothing is happening. That invisibility is precisely what allows the most important work to be done carefully and completely. My child, I am the surgeon and I am working. I am not building false hope when I tell you this. I am not offering you comfort that is not grounded in something real. I am telling you what is actually happening on the other side of what you can see. Things are moving. Things are being arranged. The answer you have been waiting for has not been forgotten. The prayer you have been carrying has not gone cold in my hands. I am accelerating certain things. There are seasons where I allow the pace to be slow because the formation requires time. And there are moments where I say, enough preparation. Now I move quickly. Now I open what has been held. Now I connect what has been waiting to be connected. Now I release what has been held back for the right hour. That hour is approaching for you. But here is what I ask of you in the waiting. Do not let the waiting make you smaller. Do not let the delay become a voice that speaks over your identity and tells you that the length of the wait is evidence of your worth. Do not let the unanswered season become an agreement with the lie that you are forgotten or unloved or somehow less than the people around you whose answers seem to arrive more quickly. Their story is not your story. Your story is between you and me. And in your story, this waiting season has a purpose that will one day be so clear to you that you will not be able to explain it to someone who has not experienced it. You will simply know. The way a person who has gone through deep water knows something about depth that a person who has only walked in shallow places does not yet understand. The waiting is teaching you. And I am with you inside every day of it. My beloved child, before we go further, I need to speak directly to how you see yourself. Because what you believe about yourself determines how you receive everything I am about to say. If you come to my promises as a beggar hoping for scraps, you will not be able to hold what I am offering. But if you come knowing who you actually are in my eyes, the same words will land differently. They will have a place to go. So I need to tell you who you are. Not who fear says you are. Not who disappointment has shaped you to believe you are. Not who the people who mishandled you decided you were based on their own limited and often wounded perspective. I need to tell you who I say you are, and I need you to receive it not as pleasant words but as truth that has the authority of the one who made you behind it. You are not a beggar outside my gates. You are not someone hoping that on a good day I might have enough kindness left over to address your situation. You are not at the bottom of a list. You are not someone I help after I have taken care of more important matters. You are not a spiritual outsider hoping that the right formula or the right amount of effort might earn you a moment of my attention. You are my child. Let those words be more than familiar. Let them be real in a new way right now. My child. Not my servant. Not my employee. Not a person who has to earn standing with me through consistent performance. My child. With everything that word carries. Belonging. Protection. Inheritance. Love that does not depend on your output. A place at the table that was set with your name before you ever arrived. As it is written, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God. Read that slowly. Chosen. Royal. Holy. Belonging. My dear one, royalty does not earn its standing daily. A prince who wakes up on a hard morning is still a prince. A daughter of a king who passes through a difficult valley is still a daughter of the king. The difficulty of the season does not reclassify your identity. The length of the valley does not mean you were removed from the family. The weight of what you are carrying does not mean I have revised my opinion of who you are. You are still chosen. But I know that what I am saying is in competition with other voices. Voices that have had more time and more volume than this truth has recently had. Voices that have used your failures as evidence. Your delays as proof. Your pain as a verdict. I want to tell you a story you already know but may have never let reach you fully. There was a son who asked for his inheritance early and left. He spent what he had been given in ways that could not be undone. The money was gone. The choices were made. The pigs were eating and he was hungry enough to want what the pigs were eating. He had traveled as far from home as it is possible to travel. And in that far place, hungry and ashamed, he came to himself and he said, I will go home. He prepared a speech on the way back. He rehearsed the words that would reduce him to what he felt he deserved. Make me a servant. I am not worthy to be called your son anymore. Let me earn my place back. Let me make this right through my effort. Let me pay for what I wasted with enough years of work and humility. He had the speech ready. He never got to deliver it. Because while he was still a long way off, before he arrived, before he could say the first word of his prepared apology, his father saw him. The father had been watching. The father recognized his child's walk from a distance. And the father did not wait for the son to arrive and state his case. The father ran. The father ran toward the son who had wasted everything. Before a single word was spoken. Before any proof of change was offered. Before the speech. Before the explanation. Before any of the conditions that the son had assumed would need to be met. The father ran. And when he reached his son, he did not hold him at arm's length while he assessed the damage. He did not say, let me hear your plan for making this right first. He did not say, you are going to have to earn your way back. He fell on his son's neck and he kissed him. And then he called for the robe. Not a servant's garment. The best robe. The one that covered everything. The one that said to everyone watching, this person belongs here. This is my child. Do not look at where they have been. Look at who they are. And then the ring. A ring of belonging. A ring of covenant. A ring that said, the relationship is restored. Not based on the son's performance but based on the father's love. And then the sandals. Servants went barefoot. Children wore sandals. The sandals on the feet said, this is not a servant who earned his way back in. This is a son who has come home. My beloved child, I want you to see yourself in that story. Not as someone who has been so good that the reception makes sense. As someone who has come home from a far place, whatever that far place looks like for you. It may be a far place of choices you regret. It may be a far place you were taken to by circumstances you did not choose. It may be a far place of spiritual distance, feeling too worn down to believe that the road back was actually open. But the road back is always open. And I am always watching the horizon. And when I see you coming, I do not wait to see what you have prepared. I run. The robe is for you. The ring belongs on your hand. The sandals go on your feet because you are a child, not a servant, and you were never meant to walk through life as someone without covering. Now lift your head. I am saying that specifically to you. Lift it. Not with arrogance. Not with the lifted head of someone who has forgotten they need me. With the lifted head of someone who has remembered who their father is. The lifted head of someone who just received a robe and a ring and sandals and stood up inside the story instead of watching from the outside. You have been walking with your head down. Under names I never gave you. Failure. Rejected. Too much. Not enough. Too late. Forgotten. Ordinary. Unworthy. Those names were spoken by voices that did not have the authority to name you. They spoke from their own pain, their own limitations, their own inability to see what I see when I look at you. Let those names fall off. They were never stitched into your identity. They were put on from the outside, like a coat that does not fit, and you have been wearing them long enough. Today I am taking that coat. I am replacing it with what was always true. With who you were before the world got to you and started its renaming. You are loved. You are chosen. You are royal. You are mine. Those are not motivational phrases. They are facts about your identity that existed before your birth and will exist after every earthly opinion has faded. They are what is true when everything temporary is stripped away and only what is permanent remains. And the truth that is permanent says you are held by a love that cannot be cancelled by your worst season. Start carrying yourself accordingly. Let your prayers change. You are not sneaking into my presence hoping I do not notice the state you are in. You are coming boldly to the throne of grace, as it is written, that you may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. That is your invitation. An open invitation. Permanent. Not contingent on how well this week went. Come boldly. Come as a child who belongs. Come as someone who has a father who runs toward them. Come with your questions and your pain and your unresolved situations and your half-formed prayers and your tired faith. Come as you are. Because who you are is my beloved child. And everything I am about to do in your life flows from that identity. Not from your performance. Not from your perfection. Not from your ability to get it together before I will act. From love. From your place in my family. From the fact that you belong to me and I do not abandon what belongs to me. Lift your head, my child. The robe is on your shoulders. The ring is on your hand. The sandals are on your feet. You are home. My beloved child, now that you know who you are, I need to speak about what has been trying to make you forget. Fear. Not the healthy caution that protects you from genuine danger. I am talking about the fear that has crept into areas it was never meant to occupy. The fear that wakes with you in the morning. The fear that follows you through ordinary moments and whispers disaster over things that have not yet happened and may never happen. The fear that has slowly, over time, begun to feel normal because it has been present so long. It is not normal. It is not the atmosphere you were made to breathe. It is not the inheritance I gave you. And today I am addressing it by name because unnamed things have more power than named things, and I want fear to lose its power over you beginning in this moment. Let me name what I see. Some of you are afraid about your health. Something in your body that has not been right. A symptom you have been trying not to think about, or a diagnosis you have been carrying. The fear that the body that houses you might fail you. The fear of pain, of limitation, of what it might mean for the people who need you if your health continues to struggle. I see that fear. Some of you are afraid about money. Not just uncomfortable. Afraid. Afraid of the numbers that do not add up. Afraid of what happens if the next unexpected thing arrives and the margin is already gone. Afraid of debt that has accumulated and the path to freedom that is not visible from where you are standing. Afraid of not being able to provide for the people you love in the way they need. I see that fear too. Some of you are afraid about your family. A child who has gone in a direction you did not raise them for and you do not know how to reach them. A marriage that is more strained than you have admitted to anyone. A parent whose health is declining. A sibling relationship that has broken. A family dynamic that has become a source of grief instead of the source of strength it was meant to be. I see it. Some of you are afraid about the future in a general sense. Not one specific thing. Everything. The world feels uncertain in ways that are hard to process. The ground under what you thought was stable has shifted. The plans you made assumed a stability that does not seem to exist anymore. And your mind has been trying to prepare for every possible negative outcome as a way of protecting yourself from being caught off guard. And some of you are afraid of being alone. Not temporarily alone. Permanently alone. Afraid that the deep longing for connection, for someone who sees you, for a companion in the truest sense, might go unmet for longer than you can imagine. Afraid that you have somehow been placed outside the reach of the love and belonging that you watch other people receive. I see that fear most gently of all. My beloved child, hear this. As it is written in 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, I have not given you a spirit of fear but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Let that truth land. Fear is not the gift I placed in your hands. Panic is not the garment I designed for you. Anxiety is not the atmosphere I breathed into your lungs when I formed you. Power. Love. A sound mind. That is what I gave you. That is what is actually available to you. That is what we are here to recover together. Fear has been speaking as though it is your shepherd. Fear tells you to stay small and you will be safe. To never hope too much so you will not be disappointed. To hold back your heart so it cannot be broken again. To control every variable because if you stop controlling everything will collapse. To prepare for the worst because the worst is probably coming. But fear is a liar and a poor shepherd. Fear has never led anyone into life. It leads into smaller rooms. Tighter breathing. Half-lived days. It promises safety and delivers a prison where the walls are made of what has not yet happened. I am your shepherd. I lead by truth, not threat. By peace, not panic. By wisdom, not worst-case scenarios. When I warn you, it is to protect you. When I call you forward, it is to free you. When I ask you to trust, it is not because I am ignoring the danger. It is because I am greater than the danger and I am with you in it. Think about the disciples in the boat. The storm was real. The waves were real. The wind was real. These were men who knew water and they looked at what was happening and they believed they were about to die. Their fear was not irrational. What they were seeing was genuinely dangerous. But I was in the boat with them. And when I spoke to the wind listened. When I spoke to the sea became still. Not because the storm was fake. Because my voice is greater than the storm. Your storm is real. I do not stand here and tell you the things you are afraid of are not real. The health concern is real. The financial pressure is real. The family difficulty is real. The loneliness is real. I am not asking you to pretend otherwise. But I am asking you to stop giving the storm more authority than the one who is in the boat with you. Now I want to give you something practical. Because I know that fear does not stop just because someone says stop being afraid. Fear has grooves in your thinking that have been worn over time. And new grooves are made by new responses practiced consistently. So here are 5 declarations I want you to speak. Not as magic. As agreement with truth. As the beginning of new grooves. Speak the first one now, quietly or aloud. Fear, you are not my master. My Father is with me and I am not alone in this. Breathe. Now the second. My body is in God's hands. I release the fear of sickness and I receive His peace over my physical body right now. And the third. My provision comes from the Lord. He knows what I need and He is not limited by what I can see. I trust His supply over my fear of lack. Now the fourth. My family is held by God. The people I love are not outside His reach. I release them into His care and I will not let fear become my way of loving them. And the fifth. I am not alone. God Himself goes before me. He is with me. He will not fail me. I will not fear what the future holds because I know who holds the future. Take a breath now. Those declarations are not pretending. They are choosing. There is a difference between pretending fear does not exist and choosing to speak truth louder than fear. You can acknowledge that your hands are shaking while still taking the step. You can acknowledge that your heart is uncertain while still speaking what is true. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is taking the next faithful step while you are still trembling. When fear says you will fail, answer it. My Father will guide me. When fear says you are alone, answer it. The Lord is near. When fear says nothing will change, answer it. God is still working. When fear says you are too weak, answer it. His strength is made perfect in weakness. Do not let fear speak without truth answering back. And do not try to fight fear only with human effort. The battle against fear is spiritual and it requires spiritual resources. Come to me with the specific fears. Name them in my presence with honesty. Do not dress them up or minimize them. Say, Father, this is what I am afraid of. This specific thing. This is where my imagination runs into dark places and I cannot stop it on my own. I can heal what you stop hiding. I can steady what you place in my hands. And I can take what fear has been using to shrink your life and I can show you that the thing you feared did not have the power over your future that it claimed. My beloved child, you were not made for a small life lived under the authority of fear. You were made to walk with me. To love boldly. To step forward when the path is not certain but the presence beside you is. To hope again after disappointment. To stand in the truth that with me you are more than a conqueror. Fear will lose its grip as my love becomes clearer. And my love is becoming clearer right now. Stay close. My beloved child, there is something I need to speak about that you may not have expected to hear today. Justice. Not judgment against you. Justice for you. The kind of justice that does not come from courtrooms or from people finally admitting what they did or from the world recognizing what it owes you. The kind of justice that comes from heaven. From the one who sees everything that was done and everything that was said and everything that was taken and everything that was false. From me. I know that some of what you have carried has not only been painful. It has been unfair. There is a difference between suffering that comes from the general difficulty of living in a broken world and suffering that came from specific things done against you specifically. Specific words spoken that were not true. Specific actions taken that caused damage. Specific betrayals of trust. Specific moments where something was taken from you that you did not deserve to lose. I want to speak to those moments. I want you to know that I was present for them. Not watching from a comfortable distance. Present in the way a father is present when someone hurts his child. Not passive. Not indifferent. Taking note. There are things that were done against you that were wrong. I am saying that simply and clearly because sometimes the most healing thing is to have the one with ultimate authority say it plainly. What was done was wrong. The way you were treated in that situation was not what I intended for you. The words spoken over you in that moment were not from me. The betrayal you experienced was not something you deserved. I see it all without distortion. People see fragments. They see moments out of context. They judge from their own wounds and their own limited information and their own version of events filtered through everything that has shaped their perspective. And sometimes their seeing of you has been so incomplete that the version of you they responded to was not really you at all. It was a projection. A misreading. A conclusion drawn without asking you to speak for yourself. But I see the whole. I see what happened and what led to it and what was behind it and what it cost you. I see what you were actually trying to do in the moment that was misunderstood. I see what you were carrying when you made the choice that was used against you. I see the difference between who you were and who you were accused of being. And I am the final word. My dear one, do you remember the parable of the widow? She had no power by the standards of her world. She had no political connections. No wealth. No influence that the judge cared about. She had only her case and her persistence. And she came to an unjust judge, not a good man, not a righteous man, a man who by his own admission did not fear God and did not care about people. And yet this widow kept coming. Day after day. With her case. With her cry. And in time, even that unjust judge granted her justice. Because she would not stop coming. Now here is what I need you to hear. If even an unjust judge, a man without goodness or compassion or care for what was right, responded eventually to persistent seeking, how much more will I, your Father who loves you, who is perfectly just, who sees everything accurately, who has the power to make right what was made wrong, respond to your cry. Your cry has not been ignored. Every night you brought your wound before me, even the nights you did not have words for it. Every time you lay down with the injustice still sitting on your chest. Every time you prayed through tears or through clenched teeth or through the quiet hum of something that was simply too much to say out loud. Every time you chose not to retaliate when retaliation was available. Every time you swallowed something you had the right to say and instead brought it to me. I received all of it. Your silence was not weakness. I want to be clear about that because silence in the face of injustice can be misread, even by the person who is silent. You may have stayed quiet because speaking would not have been heard. You may have stayed quiet to protect others. You may have stayed quiet because the situation required a kind of dignity that did not include giving every thought a voice. You may have stayed quiet out of a faith that was not resigned but trusting. That silence had weight. And it was not lost on me. Your restraint in moments when you had every right to retaliate was seen. Your choice to bring it to prayer instead of to warfare was seen. Your decision to keep your heart from becoming like what hurt you, to stay tender when hardening would have been easier, that was an act of remarkable faith. And I do not forget faithful acts. Now I want to speak carefully about what justice from me looks like, because I do not want you to build expectations that are shaped by what the world calls justice. My justice does not always look like public exposure. Sometimes it does. But sometimes the person who harmed you lives their whole life without standing before a human court that declares them guilty. And if your peace depends on that happening, you may wait a long time for peace. My justice is deeper than that. My justice removes the false weight from your shoulders. It says to your soul, you do not have to carry this proof anymore. You do not have to build your case. You do not have to make sure everyone knows what happened to you. I know. I keep accurate records. And I will not let what was taken from you be the end of the story. My justice restores. It does not just punish what was wrong. It rebuilds what was damaged. It returns what was stolen, sometimes in new forms that are better than the original. It takes the narrative that was written about you without your consent and it rewrites the ending with my hand. And my mercy walks beside my justice. Because mercy keeps your heart from becoming what hurt you. Mercy is what heals the wound while truth is being sorted out. Mercy is what prevents the injustice you experience from becoming an injustice you practice. Mercy is what allows you to forgive, not because what was done was acceptable, but because carrying it further is only damaging you, and I do not want you damaged. Forgiveness is not saying it did not happen. Forgiveness is releasing the debt into my hands and trusting me to be the one who settles it correctly. It is the moment you stop needing the person who hurt you to confess before you can be free. It is the moment you realize that your freedom is not locked inside their apology, and if you wait for an apology that may never come, you will wait in a prison of your own making. I am offering you the key. Not because they deserve it. Because you deserve to be free. My beloved child, I am also going to do something in your situation that I want you to watch for. I am going to vindicate you in ways you do not need to arrange. There will be moments where truth becomes visible that you did not have to expose. Where the people who doubted you begin to see differently without you having to convince them. Where the narrative that was built around false things begins to fall apart under the weight of what is actually true about you. You do not have to force that. Let me be the one who establishes what is true. There is a peace that comes when you stop rehearsing your defense and start resting in my witness. When you stop needing everyone to understand and start being satisfied that I understand. When you stop building your case and start living your life because the verdict that matters has already been given by the one who sees everything. You are not guilty of what they said you were. You are not what the worst accusation made you out to be. You are not the sum of your failures, your worst moments, your most regrettable choices. You are my beloved child who has walked through something painful and come out still reaching for me, still choosing faith, still refusing to let what happened become who you are. That is the truth I hold over you. Justice and mercy are meeting now over your life. Not to crush you. To free you. Not to pull you toward bitterness. To carry you into healing. Not to rehearse the pain. To release it into hands that are big enough to hold it, wise enough to know what to do with it, and loving enough to turn it into something that serves your future. Rest in that. Let the need to prove yourself go quiet. I have already seen. I already know. And I am already working on what you could not fix by yourself. My beloved child, I want to tell you what is happening right now on the other side of what your eyes can see. Things are moving. Not slowly, the way the waiting has felt. Not sluggishly. Things are moving with the momentum of a season that has been held and is now releasing. Like water that has been building behind a dam and is beginning to find its way through. Like a harvest that has been underground for a long season and is now pushing toward the surface with everything it has been storing in the dark. Your season is turning. I want to name specific things, because I know that general promises can sometimes feel like beautiful words that do not attach to actual life. So let me be specific. Your work. If your work has been a place of struggle, a place of uncertainty, a place where your effort has not been fully recognized or where the stability you needed has not been present, I am moving in that area. Doors that were not open before are being prepared. Connections that did not exist are being formed. An opportunity is coming that will not look like what you expected it to look like, and I am asking you now, before it arrives, to not dismiss it because it does not match the shape you were expecting. What I send will be unmistakably from me when it arrives. But it may arrive wrapped in something unexpected. Stay open. Your health. I am the Lord who heals. That has not changed. For those who have been carrying a physical burden, I want you to know that my hand is not too short to reach your body. I am working in ways that medicine can sometimes describe and sometimes cannot. I am not limited by what the report says. I am not intimidated by what has been diagnosed. I am the one who formed your body and I am not finished with it. Receive this as truth rather than as something you have to convince yourself to believe. I am speaking it over you with authority. Healing is part of your inheritance. Your family peace. I see the tension. I see the relationships that have been strained. I see the family member who seems far from where you want them to be. I see the dynamic that has been the source of grief instead of joy. And I want you to know that I am working in hearts you cannot see inside of. People change when I touch them. Not always on the timeline you request. But when I begin to move in a person, the movement is real and it is lasting. Pray for your family with the confidence of someone who has seen what I can do with a heart that seemed closed. I can open it. I am working toward the harmony you have asked for. The chains of debt and financial pressure. I know what the numbers look like. I know the weight of owing more than you have. I know the particular anxiety of financial pressure that never fully leaves your mind. I am not asking you to pretend the numbers are different. I am telling you that provision is part of your inheritance and I am opening pathways that you cannot currently see. Some of them will be through unexpected favor. Some will be through wisdom I give you for managing what you have. Some will be through opportunities that arise from places you were not watching. Some will be through a specific moment where the weight begins to shift and the path forward becomes clearer. Do not close your hands before the provision arrives. New people. I am sending people into your life who are meant to be there. Not people who will take from you. Not people who will repeat what has already hurt you. People who are genuinely for you. People whose presence will feel like a relief because you will finally feel understood in a way you have been hungering for. People whose faith will strengthen yours. People who will call out what is good in you instead of what is broken. Be ready to receive them. Do not let old wounds make you treat every new person with the suspicion that belongs to the old ones. The people coming are not the people who hurt you. Give them the chance to be who I designed them to be in your life. My beloved child, I want to speak about seeds one more time. You have sown seeds in this season that you may have forgotten about. The seed of prayer in the dark. The seed of faithfulness when you wanted to give up. The seed of generosity when you had little. The seed of choosing kindness when bitterness was easier. The seed of keeping your heart open when closing it would have been self-protection. Those seeds did not disappear. This year, you will see things emerge that you thought were dead. Things you prayed for so long ago that you stopped actively expecting them. Things you gave to me in a season that felt like burying and are now ready to grow into something visible. The harvest from old seeds is coming. Do not be surprised when something arises that connects back to a prayer from a long time ago. Do not be surprised when God says, "Do you remember when you asked me for this? Here it is." Do not be surprised when the thing you stopped hoping for arrives not in the form you originally imagined but in a form that is more suited to who you have become. I have been accelerating your timing. There are things that would have taken longer that I am bringing forward. There are answers that were scheduled further out that I am moving closer. Because the preparation that needed to happen has happened. Because you have been formed in the ways that were necessary. Because the season of waiting has done its work and the season of harvest is beginning. Watch for the small signs first. The shift often begins quietly. A conversation that opens something. A peace that settles over an area where anxiety lived. A provision that arrives unexpectedly. A door that moves when you had stopped trying to push it. These are not coincidences. These are the beginning of a movement that will build momentum as you cooperate with it in faith. As you speak what I am speaking. As you stand in what I have declared over you rather than bowing to what the old season said. The blessings are not coming eventually. They are moving now. Welcome them. My beloved child, we are coming to the end of this time together. But I do not want to close without asking you something. Will you let this be different from the other times you have listened to words like these and then return to your regular life with the regular noise and the regular weight, feeling something in the moment but watching it fade as the hours passed? I am asking for something more than a feeling. I am asking for a choice. Not a perfect choice. Not a choice made from a position of complete understanding and unwavering faith. A choice made from exactly where you are right now, which may be tired and uncertain and hopeful and afraid all at once. A choice that says, even with all of this, I am going to trust you. I am going to stay close. I am going to receive what you have spoken today not as something that was nice to hear but as truth I will carry. Can you make that choice? I am not asking you to have everything resolved. I am not asking you to have every question answered. I am not asking you to feel strong before you decide to trust the one who is strong when you are not. I am asking you to take the next faithful step from exactly where you are. Declare your belief out loud if you can. Say it in a whisper if that is all you have. But say it. Let your own voice participate in the truth your heart is receiving. There is something that happens when you speak what you believe. When you agree out loud with what is true. When you take faith out of the purely internal and let it shape something external, even in something as small as words spoken quietly in a room. Say this if you can. I believe in you. I trust you with my life. I choose to stay close even when I cannot see clearly. I receive your love. I receive my identity as your child. I release fear. I receive peace. I will not give up in the waiting. I will watch for the blessings moving. I am yours. Say it as many times as you need to. My beloved child, I want to hold you for a moment in this closing. Not metaphorically. In the truest sense of what I am capable of, which is greater than any physical holding you have ever experienced. I want the reality of my presence to be something you carry out of this moment and into the rest of your day and into tonight and into tomorrow morning when you wake up and the familiar weight tries to return before you have fully opened your eyes. Before that weight can speak, I want my voice to be there first. I love you. Let those 3 words do something in you right now. Not slide past because you have heard them before. Let them land in the specific place that has been most hungry for them. The place that has wondered if you are truly loved or just generically loved in a way that does not really see you. I see you. I specifically love you. The version of you that exists today. Not the version you are trying to become. Not the version you used to be before certain things happened. The version that is here right now, imperfect and tired and hopeful and uncertain and still reaching. That version. That is who I love. I love you when you are performing well, and I love you when you are falling short. I love you when your faith is strong, and I love you when your faith is trembling. I love you in the seasons when everything is going right, and I love you in the seasons that feel like everything is going wrong. My love is not a thermometer that rises and falls with your spiritual temperature. My love is a foundation. Constant. Unshaken. Under everything. I love you. And from this love, everything I have spoken today flows. The seeing of your pain flows from love. The explanation for the waiting flows from love. The restoration of your identity flows from love. The displacement of fear flows from love. The promise of justice and mercy flows from love. The blessings that are already moving flow from love. It is all love. Every word. Every promise. Every moment of this time together. Love. My dear one, go now into the rest of your day carrying what you received here. Not as a heavy responsibility but as a gift you are allowed to keep. You are allowed to return to the ordinary moments of your life with something extraordinary present inside you. The awareness that you are held. That you are seen. That you are loved with a love that does not fluctuate. And when the noise returns, and it will return, because that is the nature of the world you live in, come back to this. To the stillness. To the voice that reaches through the noise for you specifically. To the Father who is always watching the horizon for the first sign of you coming home. I will be here. I am always here. You are mine and I am yours, and nothing that this world throws at either of us changes that. Lift your head, my beloved child. The robe is on your shoulders. The ring is on your hand. The road ahead is held in my hands. And I love you. I love you. My beloved child. Before you go, let these words remain in your heart. If this message brought peace to your soul, share it with someone whose heart is longing to hear my voice. You never know who has been praying in silence, waiting for a reminder that they are loved. And if you wish to continue walking with me, stay close. Subscribe, so that whenever a new message is waiting, you will know I am calling you back to this quiet place. I will be here tomorrow, waiting for you, ready to speak hope into your heart once again. Until then, walk in my peace. Rest in my love. Remember that you are never alone. I am with you. Always. I love you, my beloved child.